Welcome back to Stacy So and So. Thank you for joining me again this week. This week's project is going to be one that I had talked about a long time ago before Christmas. Never got around to, but I've been talking about it again recently, and that is making a new cover for my Bermuda bag that I purchased. So I found the pattern on Etsy, and you can still find this out there in places. This is the original 1979 pattern for making covers, and it's supposed to be reversible, although I probably won't reverse mine, and you'll see why in just a second. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and prepped because I want to make it patchwork because I love patchwork. So let me show you what I have done. I've also went ahead and traced the pattern because I don't want to cut the original pattern just in case, I don't want to get messed up. So I did go ahead and trace the pattern pieces that I need and put all the markings on them. And I went ahead and did my patchwork. So let me show you what I've done so far. Okay, so I've chose pinks and grays and some white. So here is, because you have to cut two, here's the piece that I traced out. You cut two, obviously, front and back. So these are the two pieces that I've created with the help of the people who hung out with me on my birthday live this past week. We decided on the color scheme and the patchwork. So I got those cut out. So all I need to do is pin this on and cut it out. And then I did, this is the gussets for the side. It only took 6 squares, which is great because you actually cut this on the fold. And that is the part that goes from here all the way around to, here we go, to here. So we got that completed. Now, like I said, I'm not going to really make this. It's going to be reversible, but I doubt that I will do much reversal with it, only because I'm going to line the inside with white. And the reason I'm doing that is because this fabric is actually, if you can see my hand through it. It's it's kind of thin. So I'm just going to, I'll use this as a one side. So outside, inside, gussets done, and now I'm ready to start cutting. Okay, so I got the two front or the outside pieces cut out, as well as 2 of the lining pieces cut out, and also the binding, which I am getting ready to show you what else I have done with this so far. All right, so the one thing that I had to order, because I realized I didn't have any, was I needed some piping. So the piping, actually, here, I'll show you real quick. So you can see the piping goes all the way around the circles. Do you see that? So I found some online, a great little Etsy shop. I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see. Hopefully it comes across. There we go. You can see it's pink, it's gingham. Isn't that pretty? So I think it's going to look really nice as a trim on this. So the first thing I'm going to do with these, well, with the front, let's just pick one. We'll say this is the front piece, although they're exactly the same. As you'll notice, you'll see some blue markings on the material. What I did was, of course, go ahead and mark where the buttonholes go. There's a little tiny mark right here. There it is. That tells me how far up the sides go, or the gusset that goes all the way around. Not gusset. What word am I looking for? Anyway, here, I'll show you this part. Sometimes I have those days. Words just don't come to me. So yeah, so you want to mark where you're going to start and stop. There we go. So you can see better. Okay. So I had to do a little prep work prior to continuing the instructions for sewing the Bermuda bag. And the reason is because, I had, with the patchwork, it was so thin that I needed to add the white material. And initially, like I said at the beginning, I was going to make this reversible. But what I've had to do, you can see maybe the stitching. Essentially what I had to do was combine the white with the patchwork, and I went ahead and just did decorative stitching over all of it. So it has more of a quilted feel, because what I realized was that for my first Bermuda bag, I was making this overly complicated, and I really didn't need to, because like I said, I'm not going to carry a white purse. That's the reason I'm having to make one anyway, because I stain 2 days stain. So I have no business carrying a white purse. So what I've done is, like I said, basically created a piece of material for the front and the back, and then the piece that goes around the edge, what they call the gusset. So, and I did the same stitching. You can see, there we go. Just a little decorative stitching over top, which, you know, is really, I really like it. This looks much better than it did before. So this was obviously the right way to go. So the next thing I need to do before assembling the purse, or the purse cover, is add the buttons. So I need to do the buttonholes on both the front and the back prior to stitching around, because once I get that done, I want to decide. I ordered that piping to go around it. I am not 100% sure that I want to use it, because I know, like, my old bag that I had originally when I was in like junior high, like 6th, 8th grade, something like that, it didn't have the piping. This one does have the piping. So once I get the buttonholes done, and we will pin it together so you can see, then I'm going to decide if I really want to add the piping. If you want to add the piping to your bag, if you're following along, all you have to do is just follow the instructions on how and when to add it. So, and it's not hard to do. I mean, let me grab a piece of piping. I mean, you've seen this if you've never done it before. There we go. There we go. You add it like, just like that, and sandwich it between your two pieces. Now, there are times where you need to put it on the right side, like this. If you're going to have it right up next to the edge, so that when you turn your fabric right side out, obviously you still see the piping. Since I have quilted this and finished all the edges anyway, the only thing I would need to do is add it all the way around the edge when I sandwich it with this. But again, haven't decided if that's what I want to do. So this is going to be a process for us to go through together, because this is my very first cover. So we are learning together. You can learn from my mistakes, and I will learn from my mistakes. So, all right, next, buttonholes. Okay, so ready to start putting on the buttonholes. However, first thing I had to do was find a button that is similar in size to what is already attached to my bag. So I dug through my stash and I found one. And if you're new to this and you've never used a buttonhole foot before, be sure to take time and learn how to use it properly. I'm sure there's instructions, I'm sure, that came with your sewing machine. Plus, also, here on YouTube, you can find a million videos for how to use your buttonhole foot. This is the one that came with my machine. And as you can see right here, this part slides. You see? There we go. Oops, I almost dropped it. So the reason I need the button is because my machine is automatic. My old machine, it was manual. I could determine how far to go across the top, down the sides, on the bottom, and up the other side. Not the case with mine. So definitely need to make sure that I had a button that fits, because you slide it into, and there goes my button in the floor. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is line up, because you know I made little marks where the buttonholes go. So I'm going to line that up. There we go. With the bottom. And I followed the instructions on how to use a buttonhole foot for this particular machine, because it was actually different. I had to look it up. It was actually different than my last machine, so I'm really glad I did that. And I have all of my settings correct. And we're going to start slow first and just press on the pedal. Okay, so I got the first side done, and I just wanted to test to make sure, and it's perfect. So still have to do the other side, obviously, but I went ahead and I used, just to be absolutely certain, I took the one I completed and laid it on top of this one and made my little lines. So now I'll get the buttonholes done on this, and then we will start sewing the purse together. Very exciting. Okay, so I got it all pinned and or clipped together. I am adding the piping, as you can see. Now I've found that with attaching the piping plus the gusset part and the front or back, it is easier to use clips than pins. I did pin across the top. If you don't have clips, I mean, you can use pins. I just found this easier. Not everybody does, so it was really just a preference. So now I'm going to sew this all the way around. Now, in order to make sure that I got it starts and ends where it's supposed to, remember we had made marks from the pattern where they start on both sides. So it is ready to go. Let me sew this together, and then I'll show you by using the other side how I got it all pinned in place. Okay, so I got it all sewn on. There you go. You can see the piping, how it is sandwiched between both sides. Now, the next time I make this, I will do like, I don't know, a lining or something so that I can sandwich, even at the top, the piping in between the outside fabric and then on the inside of the bag. But this is just for me, so I think it'll be just fine. So now let me show you how I put it together the rest of the way. So first thing we're going to do, or I like to do, is make sure that I get the buttonholes lined up. So I just stick my finger through, make sure it's in place, and then I like to pin, I will pin that just to hold everything where it belongs. Okay, so you can see my fingers sticking through. I've got the buttons lined up. So now, this is where I like to start using my clips. First thing we're going to do is take our piping. I started at the bottom. You can start wherever you want. So the first thing I'm going to do, there we go, you can see. Okay. Get that in place. Then make sure to get the side open. There we go. Get the side in place. Now you can see the piping is sandwiched between the gusset and the front of the bag, or the back of the bag, however you want to look at it. And that's why with the clips, I just find it easier. I said, you can certainly use pins if you have them. I just found it more tedious, but it could be because my hands get kind of tingly sometimes, and it's hard for me to manage straight pins. So clips definitely help. So I will clip this all the way around. When I get across the top portion up here, then I can use pins just as easily as I can the clips. So do what works best for you. All right, I'm going to finish getting this together. And when I come back, we'll have our finished bag. And it is done. I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. Not bad for my first Bermuda bag cover ever. There we go, so you can see all sides of it. All right, so now the fun part. Let's put our lining with our handles into the bag and button it on. Okay. Let's see. It buttons on fairly easy. Yeah, the buttons, I did a good job as far as like picking a button that matches the size of the ones that are attached, because overall these are buttoning very easily. There we go. Side one, isn't that cute? Let's get the other side together. Okay. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Much nicer refresh to the bag. It's a nice refresh. Here we go, the inside. And there we go. All done. So thank you for joining me again this week. I hope you enjoyed the process of making a Bermuda bag cover. I am so pleased with the way this turned out. I like it much better than just the plain white canvas that I had stained. I think this looks great. And I'm definitely going to be making some more different colors. I think the next one I do will probably be like black and white, because I tend to wear a lot of black. And black and white's such a classic color. Now, I will say, overall, the instructions for the pattern, fairly simple. I did have to deviate off of them just a little bit because of the way I ended up having to do things once I started quilting the material, this and that. I do want to next time make sure that when I put the piping on, that I have it sandwiched between something so I don't see the excess raw material. But you know what? It's just for me. So like I said before, it's just for me. It's fine. I'm happy with it. There is one thing though that I do want to add to this, and that is on the sides right here. I need to add a little loop, because although I love my Bermuda bag, I am not one to just walk around and carry a purse by hand. I am the person who would sit my bag down, forget that I set it down, walk away, and have someone steal everything I own. So I found this old bag. I have, a friend, when I was talking about this on live, said, "Ooh, I know how you can add a strap to it." So this is an old crossbody bag that I had. I don't really like it. It's so stiff. It is just, and why I held on to it, I don't know. But I think what I'm going to do, in the spirit of upcycling, because this little purse would still be cute if I take the little things off of the side, and, you know, because you're still going to have these handles. And I will donate this bag. However, I am going to take off the hardware. Well, I'm not. I'm going to have my husband do it. He's much stronger than me. And I will use this hardware and make a strap to go on this bag. Although I guess I could use this leather one. It's gray and it does match the gray in here, but I would much prefer to have a lighter color as opposed to this, you know, really dark. But that's the only other thing I'm thinking about adding to it, because I think that for me, I would rather be able to, when I need to, just wear it as a crossbody bag if I'm out and about and I just need to have my hands free. So I hope you enjoyed this week. If I make any more in the future, I'll do a quick video just so you can see. And I will be back again next week. I'm not sure exactly which project I'm going to be working on, because you know I have several in the works, so we're going to let it be a surprise. So I hope you'll tune in next week to see what I get up to. All right, you guys, have a fantastic week, and as always, happy sewing.